Welcome, Lorraine B. Sellars.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great being
Yes.
here.
Yes, welcome to our mom chats. We've been doing these mom chats, and for our viewers, I want to introduce Lorraine Sellars. She is an amazing entrepreneur. She's a women's ministry leader, speaker. She has her own YouTube channel called Rainy Talk, so go check that out, subscribe. And of course, she's a mom of four adult children. She's on her way to being a full-time empty nester. She has 3 out of the house and 1 about to move. So I am excited to have you on. As y'all know, my book launch is June 4th. I want to be a mommy when I grow up. Yay!
Yay. That's great.
Yes. So I thought, what better way than to talk to moms? And you are an amazing one.
Thank
You have
you.
raised amazing children. And so I wanted our viewers to get to know a little bit about you and what your journey's been like as a
Okay.
mom. So tell us about your children.
Well, I have 4 children, like you said. My son, and now they're gonna get me about these ages, but I should start with the baby. So,
Okay.
so 1 son and 3 girls. So the baby is 25, and my Samantha next daughter is 30, and the next daughter is 31, and my son is 36 or 37. I should have wrote this down, but that's close enough. So yes, and it's been
Wow.
great being a
You don't
mom of
look a day
4.
over 22. So how do you have a
Ooh,
36-year-old? How does
I
that work?
know, I know. It's so wonderful. Though I love having kids. Yes,
Oh, now did
yeah,
you always want to be a mommy when you grew up?
always yes.
Oh.
Because I think my mom has a really large family. Like she had 22 siblings, right? And so yeah, my mom had 22 siblings, and so there was always people at our house. She had a lot of so her brothers and sisters were always visiting, and so there were always children and babies. It's like our house was the community house, if you want to say, which was really, really great. So when I grew up, I was like, I want that. I want a lot of kids, and I want my house to be a warm house, somewhere where people just can just drop by and hang out. And I wanted more than 4, but that didn't happen. But I would have had like 6 or 7 and had a farm. Oh my God, it would have been just great.
That's so beautiful. But now you're a grandmother, so that's how
Yes.
you're going to get more, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, a grandmother of 2, so that's wonderful also.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
wonderful. So
yeah.
tell us about the first time you found out that you were going to be a mom. Can you remember
Ah, yeah.
all those years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I really can, because it was other things were going on at that time too, because I was in my last semester of graduating from Norfolk State, right? So I was supposed to have my baby in April, and then I was supposed to graduate May, and that next month. And so what happened, my advisor was saying, well, I don't think you're going to graduate on time, because after you have your baby, you're going to be out for a while. But I was determined, and that's how I've always been. If someone says, I don't think you're going to be able to do it, that's my motivation right there. Oh, I'm going to do this.
Oh.
So I actually did. So I had him in April, and I had to finish my exams and all my interns and everything like that. But I got that stuff done, I'm telling you. In May, I graduated on time with my class. And then June, the same year, I got a job in my field at a major hospital in Newport News. So
Wow.
yeah, God was working that thing, and I was like, "Oh, we're gonna do this."
Now, in my book, I talk about taking a pregnancy test and finding out. Now, back then when you had your first child,
Mhm.
could you do that, or you had to go to the doctor?
No, you can still do that, and so I
Oh.
did. Yeah, you could still. Yeah, and so I did, and you know how you do a couple of them. It's
Yep.
like really, really. But yeah, so and that was exciting, but then it was a little scary too. It's like, uh-oh. But I was glad, because I like I said, I always wanted kids anyway. So yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So,
Mhm.
okay, now that you've raised kids,
Mhm.
what has that been like? Can you tell us the highlights of raising four children, and also what were the difficulties for you?
Yeah. Wow. Well, I would say that my greatest struggles, my greatest joys, my greatest challenges, my greatest spiritual opportunities, all of that came from having kids because all of that, you know,
Say it again
because
for those in the back.
I know, right? My greatest joys, my greatest struggles, I know, right? My greatest challenges and my greatest spiritual opportunities. I'm telling you, you're going to find that out, as you raise your children and as they grow older. So it's been a joy, but then, oh my God, it's also been such a challenge. And for me, I enjoyed, or let me say, it was easier raising my children when they were young. As they got older, it got more difficult for me.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
you wouldn't
Because
think
I'm
that.
in the
I
young
know.
stage. What do you mean? It's
You
already hard.
you wouldn't think that, right? You would think, it's harder, but no. For me, it was easier when they were little. And I
Why?
think,
Teach
yeah,
us.
yeah. Okay, so when they're little, for the most part, they really need you. They need you. You gotta, you're showing them how to live and what to do and what to expect. And they come to you, they trust you, you know, they follow your lead, right? They follow whatever you
Yes.
say. They pretty much do it. You got to discipline them, but they pretty much do what you say, right? But then as they grow up and they become young adults, they make their own, even now, the things that I put in them, I'm starting to see it now, but as they were growing up, they make their own turns, and sometimes they make their own choices, and you don't want them to go through some stuff, but we can't keep them from going through things, because I think they learn a lot from their own mistakes, not necessarily
Okay.
from our mistakes, because we try to tell them, this is a mistake I made, don't you do the same thing. And sometimes they listen and sometimes they don't, because like I said, they
Mm.
do learn from their own mistakes more than they learn from ours, even from us telling them, you know
But
trust me
they're
on
their
this
own
one.
people.
Yes.
So, what do you
Yeah.
do, when you've watched, we're not going to name any names, but,
Yeah.
one of your kids do something that you knew was not going to be good for him, or like that, oh, this is not going to end up well. Like, how do you mother grown children like that?
Yeah. It's hard, but my number one thing is just pray it through, pray it all the way through, because sometimes you can talk too much, but if you share what they'll listen to, okay, and then for the most part, you have to let them go out. They hear you, and I think they take what we say, they take it to heart, but they still, do what they want to do. I'm gonna say for a little while, but they come back. And the good thing I think that we have to remember as parents, always be there for them when they come back, and when they come back, don't talk about what you told them, I told you so. But I think it's better for us to just be like remember when the prodigal son went away, okay? And then when the
Yeah.
father saw him coming back, he was like, yes, he was rejoicing instead of saying, yeah, now you're coming. I knew you. We are
Don't
tempted to
say, I
say,
told you so.
yeah, I told you so. Why, if you had listened to me, you wouldn't have to go through. What we want to say. But no, we gotta say yes, she's back or he's back, and just rejoice, because that's what the father did. He rejoiced because they do see it after a while. They're coming back.
Mm,
The main thing is though that foundation that you put in them at the beginning. That's got to be strong.
that's
Yeah.
good. That's, I'm taking notes. So just pray through,
Yes.
and uh, trust God to
Trust.
work in them. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to work out. It is going to work out. And we got to trust them, right? Because I always say they're on loan to us, they're not really ours, but, we're supposed to parent them and discipline them according to, the word. And if we do it that way, it'll work out. It really will. It's going to be some
That's
heartaches though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, as a mom, you do a lot. Like, you run businesses, you do ministry, like
Hmm.
you have a lot going on. How do you juggle it all? How do you manage it all?
Wow. Yeah, it is a juggle. It's like a juggling act. But we kind of work together now because they're older. So we work together. So I don't have to really do everything now. So that's a benefit to them being grown, you know. I don't have to do everything. I can say, can you get this for me, or can you handle that? And so I have help, a lot of help now. So it's not too bad. Sometimes it gets overwhelming, you know, because they still have their own thing. And like I said, there's only one that's living here now. And sometimes they go out and, you know, they do their thing and they don't answer the cell phone, you know. And but but I
Look,
think
pick it
it's
up.
because,
Call your mom back.
yeah, you know, and they know if I send the waving emoji like hello, they know, okay, we better see what she wants. But you know, so it's not as hard as far as juggling everything because I have help. But you know, just like I said, watching them grow into young adults, you know, it's a lot of tears, a lot of heartache, you know, but
Oh, what's
yeah.
been the best part for you to watch your? Because people always say this. They say it happens fast. It happens so fast.
Hmm.
So for
Yeah.
you, watching them now, what's been the best part of
Wow.
seeing them grown?
I think the best part now, I see a lot of me, you know, and I see that they listened, you know, because you're thinking that they're not, but I see that they're listening, that they listened when we told them things, you know, like as far as their finances, I can see that they listened when we talked about that. Even relationships, you know, because that's so hard. I'm watching them get in and out of relationships growing up is really hard, you know, and but I see now that everything that I put in them, one big thing, I'm going to share this because this was really cool. When they were growing up and when they started school, we had these scripture cards at the front door, and they were on index cards. I wrote them out, and so the whole week they had to read the card and turn it over and sign the back before they went out the door to school. So they did that every day, and and by the end of the weekend, we went over it, and they had memorized that scripture, and it was always something that would help them going out, you know. And so we did that the whole time they were in school. It was amazing, and they
That's
talk
really
about that
great.
now. Yeah, they talk about stuff like that now. They're like, oh wow, remember when we had to sign those cards before we went to school? It uh,
I
that
love that. So
yeah.
so how did you do them? You
Well,
just wrote scriptures on
yeah,
post-it notes,
I had an
or
index card, and I
okay?
would go through, and you know, weekends I would find a scripture that I wanted them to carry with them, something that I wanted them to have in their heart, and I would write on an index card, and they knew the index card would be at the front door on a table, and a pen would be there. So every morning when it was time for them to go catch the bus, they had to read that scripture card and then turn it over and sign it. So their name on the back, I knew that they read it, you know, and it was the same card all week. And by the weekend, they knew that scripture.
I like that. I'm gonna
Yes,
steal that one.
yes, yes. So,
That's so good.
yeah,
This
yeah.
is so for you now,
Hmm.
um, in this empty nest phase,
Uh-huh.
how has that affected you as a mom and as a person, as an individual? Because sometimes we get lost in taking care of our kids and
Yeah.
everything they're doing. And then once they're on their own, we're
Hmm. I
what's going
know.
on? What am I
Yeah,
doing?
yeah, yeah. And I think at times I kind of feel like that, you know, because when they're all out and they're all gone, I'm like, what am I supposed to do? You know, I miss them, you know, and I'm like, I miss the noise, I miss the commotion, I miss the laugh, you know. So
Yeah.
but I see them every day, but it's still like when they all leave and they're in their own place, I miss them, you know. But I give them space because, you know, I want them to live their life just like I lived mine. I want them to have fun and enjoy, you know, life. So,
Yeah.
but so then I find that I have to make sure I go back and grab some of the things that I always wanted to do, you know, that you couldn't do when they were younger because you had to be a mom, you had to be a wife, you know, all of those things, and had to help provide for the house. And so now I don't have to do all those things. So I can go back and do some of the things that I always enjoyed, you know. So so it works out, you know.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's encouraging.
yeah.
So how has God helped you through your mothering phases? I know you've been through so many seasons of mothering, but
Hmm.
how has your faith in God helped you?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I got so many stories. Okay, so the one of them, when my son, all of my other kids stayed around here and went to college, but my son wanted to go to a performing arts school. So he decided to go to school in Maryland, John Hopkins, Peabody Conservatory. So he went there. And that was a long way away from his mommy, my only son. But I was like, okay, we went out there and it was nice. The thing was, the college was in the city. It was actually in the city. And there were a few times when I called him and I could not get him. And, and it was late at night. So I actually panicked a little bit and I was like, okay, where is he? Where is he? Why is he not answering? What I found out was that a lot of times he would spend the night in the studio because my son, if anybody that knows him, he is music, music, music. So he will practice. That's all he does is practice, even now. So he would stay in the studio sometimes at school and he would just practice. He'd fall asleep. He'd wake up and practice some more, But sometimes your mind can tell you that this happened or that he's in Baltimore, Maryland. He's never been away from home. So of course your mind will tell you all these things that's going on. I had to make sure I grounded myself. I had to just start praying. So I would wake up in the middle of the night and be praying and praying for him. And that's something I would say too, wake up and pray for your children. You may not even know where they are. You may not know what they're doing, but if you just wake up and pray for them, and I fell right back to sleep, and it was great. So I don't know how people raise children. I don't know how people deal with all the things that they have to deal with if they're not grounded in God and they don't have that faith, because one of my kids even went through a period of depression, and sometimes depression can really have, you can see it on their face. You can see it. And oh my God, that's heartbreaking, and I was like, God, I don't want my child to be, but it's seasons, that they go through. And it's funny too, because when you have more than one, you'll get one right and you're like, "Ooh, okay, everything is good." And then somebody else will start going through something. And I'm like, "Oh my God." And then you get
You're
her
like, back to
good.
the prayer closet. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
stay on your knees.
But that's good to see. I mean, because you have the perspective of time and experience of going through things, hard things, but then coming out at the other end and seeing
Yeah.
God move. So I hope
Yeah.
that encourages moms as they're in that season
Yeah.
going through it. So my final question for moms watching, what
Mhm.
would you say to encourage them? You have any words of encouragement?
Yeah. I'm gonna try to make it short. Okay. Make sure the foundation is strong in the beginning, even when they're young, start that foundation, with scripture, Bible reading, prayer, and spending time with them. You got to spend time with them when they're young so they'll get used to coming to you and, going to you for, different things that happen. Another one is, expect some unrest, expect them to go through things because they will, and expect them to push you away sometimes, and let them have that space because they have to try to deal with their own inner person, let them live and enjoy life. We talked about that, because they want to experience things. We can't keep them from every bad thing that might happen, but we can just be there for them. And the last thing I guess I would say was respect them, love them, and just be there for them. It's just great and enjoy. Oh my God, enjoy being a mom. It's such a blessing and it's so exciting. I love it. I'm telling you.
That's so
Yeah,
awesome. Thank you so
yeah.
much.
You're
We could go on
welcome.
talking forever, but
Yeah,
I hope this
but
encourages people who want to be moms. Maybe you're not a mom yet, or maybe you're in the season of, they're going through stuff and you're like, oh, how do I get through this? You will
yeah,
get through it.
you
Just
will.
pray. And those scripture cards, I'm like, that's good. I got to start doing that. I love it.
Yes, yes.
I
They'll
love
make
that
you
idea.
proud. They will. They'll make you proud. I'm so proud of my
Oh.
kids. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Lorraine.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
sharing your wisdom and being the mom you are. Shout out to all your kids. I hope they
Yeah.
watch this.
Yes. Thank
You guys
you.
have a great mom. I'm sure you know.
Oh,
So
thank
yeah.
you.
And
Yes,
guys,
it's
don't
been great.
forget, if you haven't already, grab a copy of the book, I Want to Be a Mommy When I Grow Up.
Oh, I can't wait to
Lessons
read it.
of Faith and Hope. So
Congratulations with that. I'm excited for the book signing. I want to be there.
thank
Yeah.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you. I'm
Yeah.
excited too. All
Yeah.
right.
All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yes, you too. I need to go. I got my kids upstairs. The oldest and the middle watching the baby. So
That's how we do it. That's how we do it.
Yes.
Okay,
All right.
great. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.